Biohackers, Inga from Health Origins here. How are you? So today I wanted to talk to you about food staples. So hopefully we'll keep this video brief because it's very simple. So when you're transitioning to healthier eating, if you have been eating the usual omnivore kind of diet and you're transitioning to whole food plant-based, it's best to keep it very simple to start with. When you progress more, you could start becoming a bit more experimental, add, more intricate ingredients. But to start with, stick with the very simple staple foods. So what are these staple foods? Let me just get my cup of tea. So the simple staple foods would be your beans. So we've got, an amazing array of different beans. You could start with the simplest, your baked beans. So yeah, I mean, it's not ideal because it still has, some added sugar and salt and things, in the baked beans tin that you get. However, it's not really that bad, and it's got some tomato sauce in there for you, so some tomato goodness. So yeah, so baked beans is not a bad thing to have in your cupboard, and that can speed up your process if you're a very busy person, and you're thinking, well, I can't do plant-based because I can't cook from scratch all the time because I don't have time. Well, baked beans could be one of these essentials that you can keep in the cupboard and just quickly whip it out, add it to some baked potato, add it to, some rice or even some pasta, and just make a quick meal. Or rice and beans. It's such a simple and yet such a nutritionally valuable meal. So yeah, so your beans. Bean wise, if you're gonna, I definitely recommend you buying bulk beans, organic if you can afford it. Although, organic and non-organic, they're not that much different if you know where you're buying. So we buy our bulk organic dried goods from Buy Whole Foods Online .co.uk, I believe. I'll link down below the website. So they're really good. They sell good quality organic dried ingredients at very quite affordable prices. So you can buy 2 kilos, 2.5, 5 kilos of beans. So good beans to go for are black beans. So black beans have more protein in them, pound for pound, than your beef, believe it or not, right? So black beans are great thing, and they're quite small and they cook quite fast. So yeah, so they're good one to go for. Your kidney beans, everybody knows kidney beans, so they're nutritious. Like the darker beans have more, so the darker anything, the more pigmented and darker things, they have more antioxidants normally and more nutrition. Although different kind of colors, like I said, different colors in foods signify different kind of nutrients in them. But like dark leafies, dark kind of beans and things, they are very rich in all the antioxidants and really full of good nutrients. So yeah, so black beans, your kidney beans, you could get the cannellini beans, which is, I believe, is that the ones that are in big beans? I think that might be it. There's also pinto beans. There's your butter beans. All kinds of different beans. So go with the ones you enjoy, the ones you kind of like, and then you can always add some more. So yeah, buying in bulk saves you money. And with beans, I would suggest you soak them overnight if you can, or for at least a couple of hours, because that kind of can release or neutralize some of the phytic acid. So some people say, oh well, plant-based foods are not really meant for our bodies because they have a lot of phytic acid, which is anti-nutrient, if you like. It kind of blocks the absorption of other nutrients and things like that. However, if you soak your grains or beans before you cook them, that neutralizes quite a lot of that phytic acid. So yeah, so I definitely recommend, if you're gonna cook your own beans from scratch, soak them easily overnight. Just kind of plan ahead of time and do it, or for a couple of hours beforehand. And Instant pot is really handy to have for cooking your beans and grains, because beans can take quite a long time, especially chickpeas. I mean, chickpeas in a normal pot could take probably about hour and a half or so, even longer. But if you have Instant Pot or like a pressure cooker, so it doesn't have to be Instant Pot. Instant Pot is the brand of a pressure cooker, but if you have a pressure cooker, um, it just cooks in half the time. So if you don't soak your chickpeas, you cook it from dry, which you can do, that will take about 40-45 minutes, right, to get them to the right texture, and to make sure they cook through. If you soak them, it really only takes about 20-25 minutes, I think, maximum. So yeah, so Instant Pot or a pressure cooker really shortens down the length of time that you need to cook, say, beans or grains for. So yeah, so that's one of the staples, your beans. Lentils is another really good one. Lentils have a lot of protein in them as well. You know how people worry about protein? If you eat beans and lentils, you really, really have nothing to worry about. Even if you're an athlete, and if you are, exercising heavily, if you eat enough beans and lentils, then you'll have all the protein you need in the world, all right? So lentils, you either get kind of two types. So well, there's lots of types of lentils, but the two main types are the red lentils, which are your soft and kind of dissolve lentils. So red lentils are used to thicken the soups or stews or anything like that. So they about 12 minutes of cooking, and they dissolve into the water and become kind of um, you know, like a thickening agent, if you like. So red lentils are great for that. If you want the texture from lentils, you need to go for either brown, green, or there's also black beluga lentils, like little caviar looking things. Um, there's a few different types, but yeah, red lentils are the soft lentils that you want to kind of mush out. And the other types of lentils, your green or brown ones, they're the ones that hold their shape after cooking, and they cook a little bit longer than the red lentils. So yeah, lentils are great, and there's so many amazing recipes online that you can find for either any of these lentils. So yeah, so now lentils are great. Potatoes. Don't be afraid of your white potatoes. People, are warning, especially the keto diet advocates, or keto, paleo, low carb advocates. They are warning, against the potato as if it's like the devil, the white potato. Oh no, no, it's not good for us. We shouldn't be eating it. Lots of carbs, lots of kind of starch in it, which is we shouldn't be eating because it's like sugar. Well, no, it's a complex carb. It's natural, and potato, believe it or not, is one of the most nutrient kind of rounded vegetable or plant, because there's just an interesting fact for you. There's one guy called Spudfit. I forgot what his actual name was, but his YouTube channel, if you want to have a look, it's called Spudfit. So for 1 year, for a total of 1 year, he ate nothing but potatoes, like so white potatoes. So he had them steamed, he had them roasted, he had them mashed. The caveat to that was he can add spices and salt and stuff, but not oil. So he wouldn't, oil fry things, because obviously once you oil fry things, that becomes something different. So your French fries or your Potato chips are a different kind of food then, you know, because the oils obviously they, you know, once they are heated up, they turn into toxins and they just change the structure of the foods. So yeah, so deep fried potatoes, yes, avoid them. Don't have them because it's definitely not a health food. However, if you're gonna steam your potatoes, if you're gonna boil them, if you're gonna mash them, but without butter, obviously, um, you know, instead of butter, you could always add a couple of tablespoons of coconut cream or milk, you know, that you get on top of the coconut milk tin. You know, if you wanted a bit more creamier mashed potatoes, so you can add a bit of that instead, or you could mash some silken tofu, and you know, add maybe half a cup of this blended up silken tofu to kind of to make it a little bit creamier. Add obviously salt and spices, and you know you've got amazing mashed potatoes. So that's what I'm talking about when I say the white potatoes are healthy and you know, nutritionally, you know, really valuable food. That's what I mean. I don't mean French fries or chips, right? So no oil involved, just potato goodness on its own. And if you're eating organic potatoes, buying organic potatoes, you don't even need to peel their skin. In fact, you know, a lot of nutrients are by their skin. So a lot of times we like steaming the potatoes with their skins on, and you know, eating them like that, it's delicious. And obviously your baked potato, you know, you don't peel the skin off. So yeah, so if it's organic potatoes, definitely leave the skin on if you want or if you can. But if it's non-organic potatoes, because they're one of your dirty dozen, then I would suggest peeling the potato skin for non-organic potatoes. So yeah, potatoes are so amazing. So the spot fed guy that ate only potatoes for a whole year, right? Watch his YouTube channel, is fascinating. So he was overweight to start with. At the end, he was ideal weight, and you know, doctors kept on measuring his bloods through the whole year, and it was absolutely healthy, right? Because believe it or not, potatoes even have vitamin C, right? So he wasn't lacking any nutrients whatsoever, just eating potatoes for the whole year. I mean, how amazing is that? I don't know if he could see or, you know, try one more potato after that year. I don't know. Would need to follow his journey further, but I've watched a few clips from his year's potato adventure, and it was fascinating. So yeah, definitely recommend, you know, have a look at him. I'll link his channel down below. So yeah, potatoes. I love potatoes in Lithuania. We love potatoes. Is one of kind of the staple of our national dishes. So if you go and look at the playlist, I've got Lithuanian foods. You'll see a lot of it involves potatoes. Um, so yeah, so if I had to choose only one vegetable for the rest of my life, it would have to be a potato, I think, for me, because it's so versatile. You can have it roasted, you know, baked, steamed, you know, and all sorts of ways. So yeah, you could actually even make cheese from potatoes, because I've got a recipe how to make your own potato cheese, and I'll link down below as well, which is fascinating. So yeah, so potatoes. What next staple? Rice. When we're talking about rice, it's brown rice that I'm talking about, whether it's basmati brown rice or whether it's short grain brown rice. But make it brown rice, because if you buy white rice, it already has the goodness, the whole grain, the skin taken off, you know, that fiber, that your good bacteria feeds on, and that kind of keeps the sugars more intact and released in your system slowly. So yeah, so you don't want really ideally to eat white rice. I mean, yeah, sometimes if you want to make sushi, I have made sushi with brown rice, and it works, although it has slightly different, you know, taste to it. So yeah, for sushi and things, sometimes you might want to use white rice, but primarily as a staple, use brown rice. Yeah, and rice obviously is so versatile. Like I mentioned, rice and beans, and you already got yourself a meal. Very simple, and my husband could survive on that for quite a while, because he didn't know very many recipes to cook, but he knows how to make you know, rice and beans, so he would survive. So yeah, so that's another staple, rice. And then of course your vegetables, always try and, and the normal ones obviously is your onion. So your trinity, holy trinity to make your soups and stews is obviously your onion, whether a white or a red. Red is like more nutritionally dense, actually, red being having that color like I told you. And it's weaker, like not as pungent as the white, so it's great for salads, but you have to be like quite, very thinly sliced for not to overpower it with onion. So, red or white onion, your carrots and celery sticks. This is the holy trinity of kind of flavoring your dishes. So you fry these three ingredients normally before making a soup or before making a stew or a stir fry or anything like that. But carrots are great for stir fries if you kind of peel them with peeler as well, so you get like long strands rather than like, you can grate them as well, but like peeling with the long thin strands, that's like really really good for stir fries. So yeah, so the holy trinity of vegetables. And then of course kind of leafy greens, so your kales, different types of kales. You get cavolo nero kale, you get the usual kind of curly green kale. They are nutrition powerhouses. And then cabbages, red cabbage, green cabbage. Those are really cheap and got a lot of nutrition, especially the red cabbage, because like I said, the darker the vegetable, the more antioxidants and nutrition it has. So yeah, so I would say these are your staples, and then you can add different spices, different things. Tofu, depending whether you have been eating tofu, know what to do with it. Tofu and tahini, I would say there are two other ones. So tahini is your chickpeas, mashed up with some sesame seeds, which is with your tahini. So that's your hummus. Sorry, did I say tahini? Hummus. I meant hummus. So every vegan or plant-based person loves hummus. At first I wasn't too sure about hummus, but the more I started trying it, I love it now because it just has that nice tanginess to it and the creaminess. But I would suggest, I'll link down below the recipe of how to make your homemade hummus. I mean, initially, while you're still transitioning and it's too much, don't have much time, fair enough. Store bought hummus is fine, and look for the version that says less oil, because they add more of tahini paste and less of oil. So that would be the best ones to opt for. Um, but yeah, if you can make your own hummus, that's even better. So all it is I'll link down to my recipe, but all it is some cooked chickpeas, which you can buy already pre-cooked if it's too much of a step for you. Um, then it's some tahini, which is just sesame seeds kind of ground up into a paste. You don't want no oil added to that, just tahini, where it's just the seeds and that's it. And then some spices and salt and a bit of vinegar, vinegar or lemon juice or combination of both, to have that like tanginess that hummus normally has. So yeah, so hummus and tofu are your additional ones. Tofu, you can add either making things, which later on you can experiment making kind of different roast, or you add it to either a seitan roast, or add it to make your own homemade burgers and things like that. But initially you could just do peanut butter and spices coated tofu and just bake it. It's really delicious. So I'll link down below the recipe of my baked peanut tofu, and it's really really good. So yeah, you could either just cube it and add it to salads as it is, or a bit for a bit more flavor and interest, you can bake it with different marinades, for example. So yeah, so that's, but I would say, start with the basics that I've said to you so far. So all your kind of beans, lentils, your grains. So grain wise, it's good to have, say, barley. Pearl barley is great. I mean, I wouldn't suggest necessarily going for unhulled barley, because that's kind of a bit more it's hard, it's even longer to cook, and it's a bit has too much bite for me specifically, so I go for pearl barley, organic pearl barley. And that's a really good grain to add, but that could be a little bit more tricky one if you're not used to using that in cooking. But yeah, all the beans, lentils, your potatoes, your rice, your trinity of vegetables, like I say, your cabbages, your green leafies, and you can make so much. And then canned tomatoes, it's good to have some tins of chopped tomatoes, to add to your stews or soups or anything like that. So that's another staple, I would say, to have some canned tomatoes. Yeah, and next time we'll talk about sauces. So this is your staples we discussed, and then obviously they would be too bland without sauces. So next time, in 2 days' time, we'll discuss different variety of different sauces that you could use with these staples. So if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, just let me know down below. I'll be happy to answer for you. And until next time, have a good Friday, everybody.